Hello, football fans. Welcome to an AFC West preview on the Big D podcast. Before I bring in Alex to talk about everything Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers, and Broncos, please subscribe, like, and share the Spunky Spectrum Sports YouTube page where you can see all my videos. Plenty of football, golf, baseball, NASCAR, soccer, whatever you want. Also, check out the Big D podcast on Spotify and Apple. So, swimming upstream as he has done for the first five divisions is Alex. So, Alex, AFC West, you know what that means? Quarterbacks, and
Quarterbacks. Yeah, AFC West, you can call it AFC West, you can call it AFC Best. It is definitely going to be one of the most competitive divisions this season. Obviously, these teams have had massive off seasons, high profile players coming into this division. A couple of them leaving the division as well, but it's going to be an exciting one to talk about, that's for sure.
yeah, so when you think of kings of the division, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs come to mind because this has been the Kansas City Chief division. But talk about guys leaving. The Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill to a team I'm not sure of. I don't remember where he cheated from.
Hey, 305, baby.
So, where do Mahomes and Andy Reid rank in the coach quarterback rankings?
You're talking currently?
Yes.
You got to put, as far as coach quarterback combinations go, if they're not one, they're two, but I don't even think they're two. We've seen what Patrick Mahomes has been able to do since his rookie year in 2017. It's been one of the most electrifying performances consistently from the quarterback position that we've seen in a long time. A lot of times on the show, we talk about kind of the new era, new age quarterback in the NFL, in today's NFL. And Patrick Mahomes is everything you're looking for in a quarterback in today's NFL. He's mobile, he's creative, he can make plays happen that seem like there's nothing left to happen in a play. Man's got an absolute cannon of an arm. No wonder Tyreek Hill has been such a success when you got a quarterback who can throw it 80 yards down the field. However, that will not be necessary this season, but I digress. And then Andy Reid. There's not enough you can say about Andy Reid. What he's done in Kansas City has been nothing short of expectations when it comes to Andy Reid. Obviously, had a successful career in Philadelphia. There's plenty of quarterback coaching star duos in this league, but I think Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid stack up to the best of them.
Do you believe the Chiefs will ultimately miss Cheater? Because we've seen games where Tyreek Hill could have 3 catches for 30 yards or 3 catches for 300 yards.
Yeah, obviously you're going to miss Tyreek Hill. He's top 3, top 5 at the position in the NFL. Obviously, the chemistry between Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek was off the charts. It's been one of the deadliest quarterback receiver duos we've seen in the NFL in the last at least 5 or so years. So, yes, the Chiefs are going to miss Tyreek Hill. Is Tyreek Hill leaving immediately put the Kansas City Chiefs into the cellar of the AFC? Absolutely not. As we've said, with that Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid combination, it takes more than losing one great player to really dethrone and dismantle an organization that's built as successfully as the Kansas City Chiefs is right now. But yes, of course they're going to miss him. He's a walking highlight reel, or a running highlight reel, I guess you should say. And there's always going to be that big play potential that might not be there anymore in Kansas City. But with Patrick Mahomes under center, Andy Reid at the head coaching spot, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to make some plays this year.
And hey, when Juju Smith-Schuster catches a touchdown, he'll get 2 more TikTok followers.
Yeah, and honestly, it's funny, but at the end of the day, I think Juju is going to slot really nicely into this offense. Patrick Mahomes loves throwing to his slot guys. I'm pretty sure he was the number one quarterback in the NFL last season when it came to throwing to a slot receiver. So I think Juju's going to eat in this offense. He's definitely someone I'm eyeing in fantasy drafts in this upcoming season if you can get him at the right price. And I think he's going to be a really nice addition to kind of fill. Obviously, he's not quite the same exact player as Tyreek Hill. There really isn't another Tyreek Hill out there, but I think he's going to be a nice little addition to that offense.
And that Travis Kelce guy's still pretty decent.
Yeah, not too shabby. You know, having best tight end in the league on your team doesn't hurt your case either. But you know, obviously, we know what we've got in the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to be a little bit of a different team coming up this season, but for the most part, we know what we're talking about when we come there. Let's move on to a team who brought it instead of losing a star wide receiver, made the addition of a star wide receiver to this team, the LA Raiders, as John Madden
Las Vegas? You mean Las Vegas?
Oh, yeah, I screwed that up. Sorry, John Madden, rest in peace. But the Las Vegas Raiders. What do you see from this season? Obviously, Davante Adams is the major upgrade in Las Vegas, reunited with his college teammate and Derek Carr. I mean, can they contend with these new superstar teams in the AFC West?
One, Derek Carr is the top 10 quarterback, and I think we're going to see it this year because Derek Carr's led a Raider team, whether it be in Oakland or now Vegas, that, put it mildly, didn't really excite me, didn't put a lot. But the last couple of years, Las Vegas become maybe not just the NFL, but maybe the sports destination. Allegiant Stadium's a difficult place to play. It's never going to replicate the black hole, but it's not half bad. Secondly, I think Davante Adams will struggle a little bit this year because I think we would both say that Aaron Rodgers is significantly better quarterback than Derek Carr.
Absolutely.
And despite what Carr and Adams did the last season at Fresno State in 2013, where they put up 20 touchdowns. I don't think Davante Adams will be the number one receiver he's been the past 4 or 5 years. I think Davante Adams will be good, but I'm not sure if Davante Adams will be quite what he's been, particularly with Vegas having Hunter Renfrow and Darren on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and I'm very happy you just brought up Hunter Renfrow. I was getting there too. So obviously, you're saying a little bit of a downslope from production from Davante Adams potentially this season, but you know, Hunter Renfrow is a guy that obviously with the Davante Adams news, I think has kind of slipped a little bit under the radar in the NFL circles. Now, we just talked about Tyreek coming to Miami with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as a really nice wide receiver duo down there in Miami. Where do you see Davante Adams and Hunter Renfrow land in the NFL wide receiver duo conversation?
That's an interesting one. I think they're probably in the top 5. I think they're probably in the top 5. I think if healthy, Evans and Godwin, Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, maybe Jamal Chase, T. Higgins. I'm not going to leave your Dolphins out of it because your Miami Dolphins could create a pretty good 4x100 meter squad. But I think the Raiders have got 2 excellent wide receivers, and you put in a tight end. They've got 3 pass catchers I don't want to face.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right about that. And one last quick question about the Raiders. Considering the Raiders are one of 2 NFL teams we've actually so far seen on the gridiron this season in that Hall of Fame game against your Jacksonville Jaguars. It was something that really caught my eye, and I know a lot of people's eyes who did tune into that game. What do you think about Josh Jacobs playing 2 extra bonus preseason game series against Jacksonville? Do you think is Josh Jacobs potentially one of those surprise roster bubble guys that we always hear about as training camp gets on, or do you think they're just trying to get him some extra looks? Do you take anything from that, or do you think it's a little bit of added just media conversation?
I actually do take something into it because this staff did not draft Josh Jacobs, didn't offer give him the 5th-year contract, and Las Vegas drafted Zamir White. So if you ask me, I want more of Zamir White on my teams. I've never drafted Josh Jacobs on any of my teams.
Right.
I've drafted 14 baseball teams, and guess how many Josh Jacobs is on?
Big goose egg.
Zippity doo-dah.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm with you there. I mean, I remember even last season going into fantasy, I was one of my late round sleeper guys was Kenyon Drake, just because of the fact that I didn't trust Josh Jacobs, and with Kenyon Drake's pass catching ability, also being a little bit of a homer biasness for the former Miami Miracle star himself. But just saying, I mean, they brought in Amir Abdullah, they brought in Brandon Bolden, they obviously drafted Zamir White. It's getting to be a little bit of a crowded backfield in Las Vegas over there, and I'm not sure, with Josh Jacobs, it's been a bit of an unfortunate consistent inconsistency from him. So it's going to be interesting to see the looks he gets in the last couple of preseason games, and if there may potentially be a bit of a drop in usage, or even maybe a surprise move that we don't expect necessarily coming out of Raiders off or preseason moves. But
by the way, Adams caught 24 passes in 2013. How about 38 in 2 years at Fresno State?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best receivers we've seen in the past recent history of the NFL. At the very least. So it's no surprise there. I'm very excited to see what him and Derek Carr, as well as Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow, can bring for that LV Raiders offense this season.
So you mentioned, we mentioned Chiefs and Raiders. How about the Chargers? Because the Chargers have got the best uniforms in professional football. Mm-hmm. Those powder blue uniforms are the GOAT of uniforms.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, a little bit of bias, but you really can't hate the powder blues. I mean, they're one of the cleanest looks in the NFL. And honestly, yes, the powder blues are beautiful, and I love them as much as everyone else. But those old school Adalian Tomlinson dark blue with the bolts on the shoulder pads, I mean, those are in contention for some of the nicest uniforms in NFL history too. So the Chargers, at the very least, if they're not making it to Super Bowls, they're doing pretty good in the cosmetics department of the NFL.
Well, how about talked about Mahomes and Carr? How about Justin Herbert? Because I want to see all of Justin Herbert this year. I want to see every snap. I don't care if he's handing the ball to Austin Eckler.
Yeah, I mean, this division is so much fun. There's so much to talk about. I mean, we go from Patrick Mahomes, who obviously has been the face of the NFL, at least at the quarterback position, pretty much since he was drafted. Then we've got Derek Carr, a long time stalwart of the NFL. I think an underrated guy who is a better quarterback than some people give him credit for. And now you've got the young stud. I mean, Justin Herbert is dynasty fantasy football player gold. He is one of the youngest gunslingers that have been coming up to the scene and exploding the scene. So obviously, yes, it's going to be very exciting for Chargers fans coming into this season. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams leading the receiver corps. Austin Eckler is one of the most dynamic running backs in the NFL. There's so much fun to watch on this LA Chargers offense. But even on the flip side of the ball, I mean, making great offseason acquisitions, bringing in Khalil Mack, obviously, is the big name. J.C. Jackson is a big name. Even Kyle Van Noy can get some leadership and experience on that linebacker core. I mean, they locked it. They loaded in on the defense. They've already got the young studs and just absolute playmakers on offense. I mean, it is an exciting time to be a Chargers fan. And the only bad thing about being a Chargers fan right now is that you're in this division with all these ridiculous other teams. But you've got to be excited going into another year of Justin Herbert. Obviously, the season did not go necessarily the way you expected last season, but it's a new season and they are ready to make that playoff push.
I mean, how the Chargers missed the playoffs last year is beyond me, but we've seen teams like not get over the hump. I mean, the Bengals couldn't win a playoff game for 31 years and came within 2 minutes of winning the Super Bowl.
Right.
Are the Chargers potentially that one cursed team that can't win the big game, and maybe this year is the chance for LA to reach another pedestal?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they have the potential. They've made the defensive moves. They've really loaded up on that defense. The offense is what it is, and we know that it's going to be solid. But I mean, first off, you got to make the playoffs first, because we can't be talking about Super Bowls. We can't be talking about coming out of the AFC before you make to the playoffs, because Justin Herbert, I mean, yes, he has. I don't even want to say shown signs, because it's been more than that. We know he's going to be already is good, successful, dominant quarterback in the NFL. But it just comes down to winning the football games that matters, getting that playoff run, and obviously then getting to the Super Bowl and looking to get that Lombardi Trophy back over to the over to the LA Chargers, I should say. But you got to take things step at a time. You've got a good team, but in this division and this conference this season, you cannot take any games lightly. Yes, you guys have a great roster, but there's 6, 7, 8 other teams in the AFC with a great roster who are all looking for those same playoff spots. So I have all the faith in the world in the Chargers this season, but at the end of the day, I thought that they were going to make the playoffs last year, and somehow they didn't either. So first step is you got to make sure you lock in that playoff spot. Hopefully you go on and win the AFC East if you're the Chargers, but you definitely got to get in the playoffs and then let Justin Herbert take over and try and make that run.
I don't know if the Chargers win the AFC East.
Did I say East?
Yeah.
AFC West. Sorry about that. But the point still stands.
Yes.
And then I don't know, any other Chargers points you want to talk on? I mean, I feel like we pretty much know about what's going on there. It's just, it's nothing but high hopes and expectations for the Chargers. I mean, this is the season. I mean, looking at that roster, there's no excuse not to make the playoffs, and there's no excuse really to be making that push in the AFC.
Let's just say Brandon Staley, if the Chargers don't make the playoffs this year, Brandon Staley might be looking for his next gig.
Absolutely. But, we've talked about 3 teams in the AFC West. We've got to move on to the 4th. And, we've been talking a little bit about some pretty good quarterbacks in this division. Why not keep it going? And we also have been talking about new acquisitions in this division. So let's keep it going. Russell Wilson obviously has been one of the biggest moves and storyline trades this offseason. I mean, it's really as simple as this. How do you see Russell Wilson fitting in this Denver offense? I mean, it's going to be weird seeing him in anything other than Seattle colors. But what do you see out of Russ this year?
I believe Russell Wilson could be on his most talented team, even those great Legion of Boom teams. I think this Bronco team has got all the capabilities of reaching the Super Bowl and heck, winning the Super Bowl. Because what do the Broncos have? You want to throw the ball 45 times a game? You've got a Hall of Fame quarterback. Run the ball, 2 good running backs, pass rushers, corners, safeties. The Broncos have everything that you need to win in today's NFL.
I mean, you nailed it. You're absolutely right. And honestly, the hardest thing, and I know we're going to be getting to this in a second. I think I might actually even kind of merge this conversation, but eventually we're going to be sitting here on this show talking about who we see winning this division. And at the end of the day, with all 4 of these teams as locked and as loaded as they are going into this season, the only thing that I can really look at when it comes to predicting this AFC West division is you have to think about injuries. Obviously, injuries are always going to be happening in the NFL. There's always going to be teams who get riddled with it more than most. Obviously, the Ravens went through the gauntlet last season. The Chargers, unfortunately for them, have been a team who has picked up countless offseason or preseason injuries as well. So I think staying healthy is going to be one of probably the biggest factor this upcoming season when it comes to these 4 teams. But another thing too is that their schedule. I mean, honestly, when I'm looking at these 4 teams, like when I was prepping for this episode to talk about it, I knew you were going to ask me who do I have to win this division, and really it's such a toss up for me that I look at, and we're talking about the Denver Broncos. When I look at the Denver Broncos, they finished 4th in the division last season. That just means by statistics and by the way the NFL schedule is made, they are going to have an easier schedule than all three other teams in this division. Is that enough of an edge to Denver to give them the opportunity to take this division? I mean, when I look at these four teams, I see a division completely up for grabs. So why not have the team with the easiest schedule go on and take this division if it's really that close, which I really do think it is. And also, I mean, the divisions that the AFC West is playing this year, unfortunately, Dylan, I'm sorry, but the AFC South, which is one of the weakest divisions in the NFL, and the NFC West, who rookie quarterback in Trey Lance, obviously no more Russell Wilson in Seattle. You know, I mean, you got the Super Bowl champions in the Rams, but there is potential for a lot of, you know, big runs that these teams can go on. So, I mean, it's so I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I mean, I knew you were going to ask me who I win in this division. And those are really the two only factors that are swaying me in this conversation.
I've got a question. Is Russell Wilson the Matthew Stafford of last year, or the Tom Brady of 2 years ago, veteran quarterback moving teams and potentially winning a title or contending for a title?
I would compare him a little bit closer to Matthew Stafford than Tom Brady, just because, I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were really a quarterback away. I mean, the LA Rams kind of built their team as they were building Matthew Stafford. Whereas, you know, when Tom Brady came to the Bucs, they had a loaded roster. They had Chris Godwin. They had Mike Evans. Obviously, Gronk coming in with Brady definitely helped. But I mean, when I look at those Rams team, I mean, they traded all those first round picks. They brought in Matthew Stafford. Cooper Kupp emerged. Darrell Henderson even emerged for a little bit to get that running game moving for a little bit there. It just seems I see Russell Wilson coming into this team with Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, and obviously Javonte Williams, who's one of the best young running backs in the NFL. Melvin Gordon, who's been a stud running back for the Broncos for the last couple of years. I just see Russell Wilson coming into a bit of a more settled team where it's not necessarily going all out and or where it's more of a kind of building to win now. But
sounds like Tampa 2 years ago when they needed Brady. Everybody's wondering what the Broncos would do with a quarterback. Well, they got one.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely, I've always been a big Russell Wilson fan. I love his style of play. I love his off the field, persona and personality and everything like that. But when it comes to being on the field and being on the gridiron, when it comes to this NFL season, I mean, he's going to be staring Derek Carr, Patrick Mahomes, and the quarterback who is now completely slipping my mind, the AFC of Justin Herbert, right in the eyes. And I mean, it's a mano-a-mano, dog-eat-dog world, dog-eat-dog league, and a dog-eat-dog division in the AFC West this year. I just, sorry, gotta transition a little bit. I mean, we've been talking about these divisions, we've been talking about these quarterbacks, and I'm sitting here thinking, I want to know in one word, Dylan, is this the best quarterback division ever?
Absolutely.
Wow. I mean, there's your one word. I mean, you don't really have to sum it up any more detailed than that.
You've got 4 of the top 10 quarterbacks in football.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think back to a division that even is in the same conversation. I'm having trouble bringing anything up. Honestly.
I've got a fun trivia question for you. I think you might be able to get this one.
All right.
It's think back to the 2008 AFC wildcard game between the Indianapolis Colts and the then San Diego Chargers.
Okay.
Which Chargers player racked up 328 all-purpose yards in San Diego's 23-17 overtime victory over the Colts?
Chargers Colts overtime victory. What was the yardage?
328 all-purpose yards.
328 all-purpose. And what was the year again?
It was 2008 AFC Wild Card.
There's two names that initially pop in my head.
And LT is not one of them.
LT was one of the two names that popped in my head, but I didn't think it would be that easy. 2008, I'm just trying to get my timeline right. I'll tell you the other name that popped in my head, but all-purpose yards kind of threw me off. I'm not sure if he was really running the ball much, and I don't think he had this many yards receiving. The first name that popped in my head was Vincent Jackson, but I don't
No,
think that's
no.
correct. 2008, it wasn't LT. Trying to think. Oh, I think I know it. Would it be Darren Sproles?
You are the winner.
All right. All-purpose yards, yeah, it has to be some kind of dual threat running back, and I mean Darren Sproles was that guy for the Chargers. I mean he did it for a couple other teams too. I know he played for the Eagles for a little bit and did it well there, but Darren Sproles, 2008. Yeah, that sounds about right. All right, I'm proud of myself on that one. That was a good question though.
I was thinking the other one I was thinking of. I know you wouldn't have gotten the other question. Like we would have been talking 5 weeks and you wouldn't have gotten it.
I mean, you can ask me it, and I will probably just give up right away. Like you can throw it out there if you want.
No. I'm not asking that question. But I will ask you, who wins this quarterback-laden division?
You know, as I was just rambling on about, it's such a tough call. You could, if at the end of this season, whoever wins this division will not surprise me in the slightest. But I think I have to go with the team. The only thing I can do in this situation is go with the team who I think has the best overall roster, and I'm gonna have to go with the LA Chargers. I just think the additions they made on defense, bringing in Khalil Mack, bringing in J.C. Jackson, the emergence of Justin Herbert, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. I just think Austin Eckler. I think the talent on both sides of the ball, Derwin James as well, is just going to be the most loaded roster. And that's really all I can go off of. My only other option would be, honestly, Denver, just because of the strength of schedule. But I'm going to throw it right back at you, Dylan. Who wins the AFC West this year?
The Denver Broncos win the AFC West, and I'm not sure it's close this year.
I'm not sure it's close, he says. Yeah.
I think the Denver Broncos win this division by a couple games. You had a Hall of Fame quarterback. The Broncos need a Hall of Fame quarterback, but they got one. 2 good wide receivers, 2 good running backs, great left tackle, pass rushers, secondary, and a great young head coach in Nathaniel Hackett. So Russ finally has got an offensive-minded head coach. Plus, week 1, he's going to have he'll try and put up 50 against Pete Carroll.
You're not wrong about that.
And I think the Chiefs lost so much for Tyreek Hill. Pat Mahomes is great, but Tyreek Hill takes the Chief offense from here to here.
Absolutely.
And for some reason, the Chargers find some way to lose 1 or 2 games they've got no business losing.
Which will be their game against Miami this year.
Don't you always play Miami? Don't the Chargers always play like Miami or Jacksonville? They play one of the Florida teams every year.
Yeah.
Is it in Miami or LA?
I
think that's one of the 3 straight road games because it's San Francisco, LA, Buffalo.
Yeah, I think you're right. Miami plays the Chargers on December 11th.
Okay, so that's the middle of the 3 games.
At SoFi Stadium, yep.
I can't believe neither one of us picked the Kansas City Chiefs.
I know. It's just, you throw the Chiefs in any other division and you're looking at possibly a different conversation there. But like you said, it's the best quarterback division we've ever seen. It's the most loaded division I think we've ever seen. And the Chiefs have lost more than they've gained this season. So it's honestly, I don't think not too shocking of a statement that we're making.
And then Kansas City ends up in Glendale, where the Chiefs start the season, Glendale, Arizona.
Yeah, it's the NFL, man. You never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to step up when it comes to Sundays. But we could just sit here and talk about it and take guesses in the dark about what we think is going to happen.
And then have two more people, and they probably say the Raiders and Chiefs win the AFC West.
Exactly.
So thanks for hopping on, Alex. We wish you well. Hopefully the AFC West is better than Manchester United was yesterday, because I'm sure you love that game.
Yeah, thanks for that, Dylan. I appreciate it. God. Well, thank you for having me, Dylan. It's been a pleasure as always. We're almost finishing. We're almost wrapping up with this divisional series. We're getting there, but as always, fins up, baby.